All right, we are live. My name is Alex Grimness, president here at Premier Credit Consulting, and I have the honor of chatting with Allison Olsen of the Loans Can Be Fun team, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage. Allison, how you doing?
Doing awesome. How are you?
Doing very well. I'm so stoked to have you on this video.
Thanks.
Just because it's going to bring a little bit of life to these videos. A lot of no hating on my other videos. I love all my partners.
Right.
But you have such an amazing sense of fun, and you really need to have your thumb on the pulse of just providing a really fantastic client experience. So I'm thrilled to have you on with us today. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yep.
So one of my first questions for you is, was there a specific experience or situation that inspired your kind of fun approach to mortgages?
Yeah. I wouldn't say one experience, but I would say just working at other mortgage companies and not being able to get stuff done, and underwriting was frustrating, and getting my closing docs to the title on time was frustrating because I could do everything I knew how to do right and do it well, and I still had to depend on people who weren't doing it well and didn't care like I cared. And so I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to die an early death if I have to continue it this way. And so that's kind of where Loans Can Be Fun was born, where I was like, one, I want to make it better for the client. So if I need to ask them for more stuff, I've already done a bunch of nice things for them. They're going to be like, okay, cool, I love her. I'll give her what she wants, right?
Yeah.
I was just trying to think about, one, becoming friends with our clients, and two, how do you make a process that's usually really dry and boring, something that really doesn't suck? I mean, my dad doesn't like that I use that word, but it's like, that's how I look at it. Like, it doesn't need to be a crappy experience. So it was born from frustration.
That's, a lot of good things probably come from that. But when we talk about making the mortgage process fun, for those of you who haven't been on their Facebook page or seen any of their content, we're not kidding about the fun aspect of this. I just this morning, in preparation for this video, I was going through and looking at some Facebook stuff, and you guys had this video of you guys telling each other dad jokes, and I was dying. It was fantastic. And I think that you nailed it on the head. In this process, there's so many variables that are difficult and can really lead the client on, you take a normal buyer who's rational and you put them through the mortgage process, and you've kind of just walked them to the cliff of being irrational pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
And so for you guys, to at least be able to make that March fun for people, to be able to take them through that, that's a big deal. I love it. I think you guys have done a great job.
Well, I think the key to that is, one, you have to know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You have to know your loan guidelines. You have to know how to fix problems. You have to know how to structure a loan. So that's like the foundation of everything. And I tell people that my branch mission is, we are operationally superior to everyone.
I like that.
Even other branches, because if we know what we're doing, guess what? It's fun. And then we can do all these other fun things. And our biggest thing that people say at the end is like, that's all? Like, I was expecting this to just be, that was actually fun. I'm like, awesome.
There you go.
So that's what we live for, but you have to know what you're doing. Kind of like in the credit world, like, I couldn't do what you're doing because I don't know how to do that. But that's how you, if you become an expert at it, you can really help people.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was talking to somebody, it's in one of our other videos, where they said, you can provide a good experience on accident, like 1 out of 10 times. But when you really try to focus on like giving a good experience consistently, that's where you can really become an expert. And then if you add on all of the fun things that you're doing on top of it, I mean, that just cracks me up. And I feel like that's a good segue into, your team. I love working with your team. Yeah. And you've done a great job of building kind of a fun culture there for your team members.
Yep.
I mean, what advice would you have for other industry professionals who are trying to not only build their brand, but also build a good company culture?
So I have fired 4 or 5 people in a 2-year period that didn't fit, right? Yeah. I think, one, you have to be okay with changing your mind. Like, hey, this person actually isn't a hard worker, or this person actually doesn't fit. For us, it really came down to the fit. And one of the ways we determine that is we take any applicant that we like through playing a game of catchphrase with us. Like, that's part of their interview process.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
But what it tells you is, can they think on their feet? Are they funny? Or do they freeze when things get hard? Like, because in the mortgage world, if you freak out under pressure, it's not going to serve you well. So we do things like that. The thing I would tell people is, don't be afraid to, like, we tell some people, like, hey, you have like a 60-day probationary period when you start, and if it doesn't work, like, like I know within about 2 or 3 weeks that this is not going to work. And people usually know it too, and we try to coach them along and try to help them. But it's that same phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But we try to just make sure that everybody here has a positive attitude in life in general, and is funny, and is smart, you know. So the attitude thing does not fly with me at all. So and that's why we do catchphrase, because you can get a sense for their humor, and sometimes they swear during catchphrase, and you kind of know, okay, we got to the real deal here, So getting to know people. But I think one of the biggest thing is, you're going to make a bad hire. Don't be afraid to fix it. Don't keep a crappy employee on because you made a decision 2 months ago.
That's a good point. And you don't hear that very often. You always hear everything leading up to getting the employee. But rarely do you hear, like, hey, if it doesn't work, which the odds of it not working are pretty high.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a forced marriage sometimes. And we've had kind of this negative experience, and I shouldn't say negative, growing experience over the past 10 years where we've really wanted to focus on our culture. We've really wanted to focus on building something unique here. But it's really been like the last 2 or 3 years where we've hit our stride. And one of the big things that helped us is we communicated our intent up front to a lot of our new hires that said, if you're not going to engage and actually invest in the process, we don't really see it.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you make a good point where it's like clear expectations.
Yeah.
Of what they, and this has been a process where I've learned a lot in the last 2 years, because, well, I guess 3 years. Holy crap, I'm at 3 years with Fairway. Anyway, in 3 years of being a branch manager, being like, I get to build my team, and you do make a lot of mistakes, and people can make a resume look really good, and when you meet with them, they can seem really awesome, and then you get them in that position, and they're craptastic. Mm-hmm. And, like, you have to be okay with going, you know what, I made a mistake, I'm going to set you free.
Yeah. It's something that a lot of people feel uncomfortable doing, because when you finally get up the nerve to pass off some of that responsibility or build that role, it's daunting to think, is this just going to be another experience? The lesser of two evils. Do I just keep this person?
I think a lot of people don't want to hurt feelings, mm-hmm. right? But typically, if somebody is at a company and they know they're not doing well and they're not working hard, they know it.
Yeah.
So it's not a big surprise. And for the most part, I haven't actually had to fire people. They get to the point where they're unhappy. And I tell people before they come, I said, if you are a hard worker and you're accurate, you will do fine here. If either of those two things suffer, you won't enjoy yourself here.
Yeah.
And, but those two things are what have made most people burn out or leave, or we've had to, say, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah.
So
but that just kind of pays tribute to the type of culture that you have there, where everybody's expected to keep pace, because there are those environments. I look back to when I was really young, before I ever gotten into any of this, and I was working for a larger corporation, and it was everybody kind of put in 50% and then kind of fluffed the other 50%. Yeah. And I remember kind of rising up the ranks of this safety.
Because we're willing to work hard.
And I was maybe 60%, it was
just a little bit more than everyone else.
and being on the other side of that now as the co-owner and president of the company, you kind of look at that and you say, man, I want people who can keep pace. And those are the people who, what we've done is the people who set the pace, we've put them in positions where we now have them interview new people, because we want them to kind of be at the forefront.
Well, and I think one of the things, we used to own a snow cone shack, and that was one of the places that I was like, how do you find a good employee in general? Like, what is the magic bullet? And you're not always going to know, but my biggest thing is if you find people who care about their work ethic, care about, you know, working for the money that you're paying them for, those are the type of people that can be taught. Yeah. Right? If they're just there as it's a job, you know, the people that I have with me right now, they genuinely feel like they have a vested interest in this doing well. Like, they're part of this. This is not just my baby. This is their baby. And the more we grow, the more they bonus, you know, and the more money they make. And so they have a vested interest in kicking butt.
Yeah. Plus, you know, it looks like they have a lot of fun. I would love to go to work every day.
It's so fun.
My boss gets to say, hey, we're going to record a video and talk about dad jokes. Or, yeah, I remember.
It's so fun.
Last time I came into your office, you had a whole wall of Jones sodas.
Yeah.
With your guys' brand on it. I mean, you guys
make us new ones. They're coming this week.
I love it. I think it's just that culture difference alone is great. But what's awesome is that there's a lot of philosophy and thought that goes into it, and yeah. You know, it plays out. You see the way that your clients, like when you refer clients to us, you know, the referral process is clean. The communication and expectations are very clear up front, and we have a higher pull-through rate because your clients, you know, actually have a good experience with your team during a highly emotional kind of negative experience period.
Yep.
So to be able to turn that into something positive is a big deal. And I think your team drives a lot of that, which is,
for sure.
Like I said, kudos on what you guys are doing over there.
My team's so cool. Like, they're the coolest people ever.
Yeah. You guys have a pretty awesome thing up there, to say the least. But
I think so.
But I've got a kind of another question, and it doesn't segue too well, but you know, if there is strategy, we've talked about kind of where your guys' fun culture came from, how you've been able to build it with your team. But with everything that you guys put out, because if you look at most loan officers' Facebook pages, it's interest rates, it's why I'm better, and it's why the other people aren't that good, right? Like, it's those three.
How fun is that? Isn't that fun to read? Isn't that engaging?
So much fun. Yes. I look at it all day long. It's my favorite.
Sarcasm is the way I hug. So anyway.
It's awesome. You guys put out, I mean, it's totally different. You know, what's the strategy there, and what impact has it had on your business?
Well, I think some of that stemmed from when I got into the business, everybody was like, oh, you need to do cold calls. You need to go visit realtors. The very, like, you know, by the book, this is how it has to go. And guess what? I hated it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do this. This is not fun for me. This is not authentic to me. I don't want people to feel like I'm selling something to them. I want them to like me and trust me. And the only way people are going to do that is if I'm completely real and just like, hey, guess what? I say naughty things sometimes. But I do have a filter, so I don't say crap to my clients. But, you know, I'm real with them, where it's like I joke about, you know, kid stuff and all the things you go through with kids. But as far as like our Facebook stuff, one of the reasons that I do it, honestly, is because I hate my compliance. Well, I don't hate my compliance department, but I hate compliance in the lending world. So if I want to say anything about rates, then I have to put the APR, and then I have to put the asterisks at the bottom. I don't want to do it. So it just takes too much time, and people don't like it. It's salesy, right? So, I mean, there's posts, and I just try to be authentic to me and how I would want my friends to talk to me. And I truly try to develop relationships. We all try to develop relationships with our clients where it is a friendship. I'm super excited to see them. So if they see me doing something silly on Facebook, they're like, oh, that's Allison, right? But I think you have to be authentic. And in the mortgage world, they want you to be all compliant, right? And we have done some where we do videos and we intersperse that with, like, you know, here, this loan program has that. But guess what? I had to sit here and record them. I had to send those through my compliance department. I had to make sure that they were compliant. Yeah. And we'll do that. But the long and short of it is, if we have a whole bunch of happy clients and they're saying stuff about us and they all feel like they're part of this. I mean, I call it the Loans Can Be Fun Club. My clients are part of a Loans Can Be Fun Club, and I take them to movies. And I have a Harry Potter party coming up October 12th. You know, I mean, it's the party that shall not be named. Very far. But anyway.
I love it.
So I don't know if I derailed there, but do you have any other specific questions on that, I guess?
Well, I one thing I love about your answer is, first of all, it was genuine and sincere. And what I love about it is I think that you're humanizing the loan officer and the people on the back end. Because sometimes, in this push to be more efficient, in this push to be this loan officer that's pushing all of this, production and all these things, we kind of see these loan officers and real estate agents become robots. I mean, I've done it.
Right.
I've gotten to the point where my calls lack really any personality, or my meetings are boring. I've probably had a couple meetings with you where you're like, really? Credit again? I mean,
hey, you're the only one I talk to, so there's something. You're persistent.
Yeah, I'll take that. But one thing I like about it is that it does bring this human element, this fun element, and I think that there's more of a connection between you and the end user, obviously a potential loan application or somebody who's trying to apply for a loan.
I think it can be intimidating too. You're going to go get a mortgage, and is it, people are embarrassed to have you pull their credit sometimes. They don't want you to know the nitty gritty of what they've been spending their money on. And it's like, I've seen so many of these, like, I just don't care. I'm just here to try to help, right? And so, and I think that comes across when I talk to my clients. It's like, hey, we're all in this. I used to have credit card debt too. I get it. It was like the best day ever when I was like, it's paid off, But I also got into the mortgage world right after I got out of school and bought a condo. So that wasn't the smartest move. And I was all committed. So, I think if people truly believe that you care, that makes a huge difference. And we do. Where if somebody is a dollar sign to you, you're in the wrong business, in my opinion. Yeah, you can make money off a onesie twosie, but guess what? I get them a second and third time because they didn't have a good time the first time.
Yeah, I love it. I think that if you're a mortgage professional or a real estate professional and you're really hyper focused on building a machine and a business, it helps to have that human element, and it helps to have something that's actually going to make the client feel like they're not just being pushed through a meat grinder, right?
And on that note, so with our clients, like when they lock in their rate, we send them a $25 gift card to like dinner or a movie. When their appraisal comes back, we give them a laundry basket full of candy that we deliver either to their work or home. And then they have a separate closing basket where we have engraved mugs and, with their names on it and ornaments and all these things. And we just want it to be awesome for them. I don't have to do those things, but my love language besides sarcasm is I like to give things to people. That's how I show my love. I'm like, here. But it's true though, because I love to gift things to people. And so, but part of that is we have all of this built into a system. We have checklists so that every client's experience can be similar. And we know who's supposed to be doing what, how far in the process we are, what's missing. So we have really good tools to know where we are, what still has to happen, and if the ball gets dropped, we know who did it.
Which is important, because that's...
And I'm very much I don't really get, most of the time, don't get really mad about stuff like that, but I see it kind of how you were saying, where it's like, it's a learning thing. How do I make my process better? My educational background is actually operations management, how to make processes better. And so that's kind of where that all came from. And
well, that's huge. I mean, I will say, and as kind of a final plug for you and your team, the process is stellar, but it's unique to see somebody who, from a process and system standpoint, can deliver consistently, but also make it such a unique experience for the individual user. And that's been a lot of fun for us because, even to be associated with that a little bit, just,
through association.
It's fun because you can tell the difference when you talk to the clients. That is probably with our big investment over the past couple of years into building a client experience, which, I love that you said creating a consistent experience, because that's our thing. We want every client to have the same experience every time.
And I've noticed that with your stuff that, over the years you've made improvements, you've made systems to make things go better from my perspective and for the client, You've done a good job with that.
I appreciate that. It's been a lot of effort and a lot of fun.
Right?
You can tell the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. It never comes easily.
Never. As soon as you think you got it figured out, you're toast.
Oh, I'm constantly telling my team we need to change that in our process.
Yeah, it'll keep you up at night. But my point is this: you can tell the difference of somebody during the referral process if they've had a good experience on the front end when they pull the application and they don't feel totally devoid of hope, right?
Right.
Those are the people who usually have really great success in our program.
Yeah.
And I really love the fact that your team delivers on that consistently. You guys do a really fantastic job with that.
It's because we're happy.
Yeah.
I love it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything we do on Facebook is positive. I used to post political stuff, and then I was like, never mind. I think positivity and happiness go a long way, because you come at things from a place of, wanting to help. And, there's people that aren't perfect, and none of us are. Correct grammar would be none is, but I hate it. It sounds weird anyway. Sorry, I'm a grammar nerd too. But I think if you have a heart for service, that's the difference with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Teach people. I
would agree. Well, I got to say, Allison, probably one of the funnest videos I've been able to do, for sure. We do a lot of them. You absolutely are amazing. Your team is amazing. We love working with you guys. Before we sign off, is there anything that you want to add? Ask you or not? I'm sorry, not ask. I should say add. Anything you want to say before we finish? No, just be true to what you want to do. You don't have to do it how everybody else says it has to be done. I love it. Well, if you are looking to find a fun experience in mortgages, Allison's information will be on this video. And I will say, if you're a loan officer or real estate agent and you're trying to find that extra, oomph or just way to find a creative way to help clients have a good experience, definitely check out what Allison is doing, because she's leading the charge in really humanizing the mortgage process. So way to go, Allison. Thank you so much for being on. Thanks for having me on. Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, see ya. Hey, thanks.